noteworthy earthquake events out on the West Coast, 4 to 5 of which should be across California, one of which could still take place out in the Pacific Northwest, which I didn't even issue a forecast for, but we'll get into that in a second. We have to talk about the Pacific Northwest in relation to all this silence downstream. All of a sudden, in the past several days, an episodic tremor slip, an ETS, has now been confirmed to be taking place across Washington and Oregon and Vancouver Island, but mainly across Washington. As a matter of fact, I think they only said Washington, but we know it goes not just in Washington. Let's show you where we're talking about. Here in the Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon, Northern California, Vancouver Island. And we need to go over and consult a different map now. We're going to go to the tremor map from the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. And this is showing us yesterday's tremors, which you see 614. You'll see they're all focused in here along pretty much the whole state of Washington, going from the Strait of Juan de Fuca all the way south of Tacoma, right down next to the border with Oregon. What's our cutoff town here? Vader. No way. Is that right? No way. The cutoff point is at Vader. And that's right at the state line almost. Anyway, Vader, Washington. Oh man, let me get a sip. Professor V. I've called him Professor Vader. Oh my goodness. That is so ironic. Okay. So, all these hundreds of little red dots all the way across Washington, they do have magnitudes assigned to them. But I want you to think of these as vibrations as the plate is shifting from the Juan de Fuca fracture zone out here to the west. So one more time, here's Washington, Oregon, Northern California, Vancouver. But the jagged zigzag line out here is the Juan de Fuca fracture zone. And this portion over here to the west belongs to the Pacific plate. So the jagged edges belong to the greater Pacific plate right next to the Juan de Fuca. Energy comes in from out here, and these are like arrows pointing into spots which move. And from here all the way down to the axial seamount where there's a notch into the edge of the plate boundary, the fracture zone. You see it. Over here on the tremor map, all these tremors taking place on land. So if we go over to the west from here, go over to Google Earth now. We're going to go off the coast of Washington. So the tremors go right down to Vader, right down in here. But parallel to that, if we just go due west, quite literally due west, without varying even to the north or to the south even a little bit, we're right at a place called the axial seamount, which if we go back and compare on the USGS map, that's this notch right here. That's where the volcano erupted under water back in 2015. The big eruption. So we're breaking out on the edge of the axial seamount, right across from it, parallel to it, and then we go all the way up to where this points in up to the north in the Strait of Juan de Fuca. All of Washington is shifting. That's as of last night. Let's go back one day to the 10th, or well now 2 days ago. Look at this, 817. But do you notice anything? Well, down to the south, of course, in southwest Oregon, in northern California. But going back to the USGS map now, look. Tremor outbreak here, tremor outbreak here. This is the other arrow pointing right into where the tremors are taking place a day ago, down to the south, the southern arm of the Juan de Fuca. Southern arm of the Juan de Fuca on land, pushing in, creating shifting. Think of this down below, think of this up above, like a bathtub, where this is the bottom of the bathtub, and this is the side of the bathtub that slopes up, and we have shifting and vibrating up here as the energy and tension comes in from down below and pushes up. Now, when it pushes up, it also pushes up, out, and away, and we get pushes that go across the craton. But right now, it's all focused right in here, and the flow has basically been cut off. The flow out across the craton is, the tension is building now. That I would think of this more like a pinball machine now, where you're pulling the spring back and it hasn't been let go yet. So the silence takes place, and then the push is going to come in, and you'll know it when it comes in. It'll be from low surf to surf's up, get your boards. Hate to use that analogy, but it's one that out here on the West Coast, a lot of people understand that we're between waves right now. that there's going to be some major swells that come in over out of this, which is the wave tank generator, if you will, that's pushing in. And it is almost coiled like a spring. If you think of this three-dimensionally, again, we're looking down on it two-dimensionally, but it goes up and down, and I would imagine it even curls maybe through the plate. That this is where the spring loading comes in, and then it pushes into the plate, and we get the shifting that goes in downstream from where the pushes come in. Okay?